So what is something that you either love or hate about LGBTQ plus representation in mainstream media today?
Well, I'm a hater, so let's start on that first.
Let's go.
One thing I don't like is that in most representation, there is this thing where the people portrayed fit a certain stereotype or like specifically for me, what grinds my gears is the lack of body representation, body type representation.
Yes.
Most, especially when it's gay men specifically being portrayed, they're always predominantly white or of lighter complexion, and they're always either slim or muscular.
Yeah.
And as a plus sized individual, it's not always like, uplifting in that way. But what I love is that it's slowly changing to include more of that.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tales of Our Times. This is a show where we discuss the stories that move us, what makes them so meaningful, and why others could or should find meaning in them as well. This is not a spoiler-free show, so bear that in mind as you continue to listen. We tackle books, movies, podcasts, and more. Where there's a story, there's a reason to read. I'm your host, Amanda Stevens, and this month you are joining us during our Pride special, where we are inviting members of our colorful LGBTQ plus community to come on the show and tell us about a story that made them feel seen. So today in the studio, we have my good friend, Cole Jones. Welcome on the show, Cole.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. So this is your first time on the show. Is there anything that you would like to say to introduce yourself?
Just write my name down because I'll be famous one day.
Yes. So, Cole, then what story have you brought for us to talk about today?
Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, one of my favorite books of all time.
So I have actually read some Madeline Miller before, but I haven't read this book. And I'm really excited to get into it because this is actually the book I've heard much, much, much more about, and in a good way.
It's worth the hype, every bit.
So Madeline Miller, she likes to sort of recontextualize famous Greek mythology stories. In this case, not exactly mythology, sort of like an epic, but bring those stories into a more like empathetic light and kind of put you in the shoes of these epic characters, and often not the hero that the story is about. Is that still true for A Song of Achilles? Yeah,
this is written from the perspective of his alleged lover.
Achilles' alleged lover.
Yeah. Patroclus, who in the actual story in the Iliad is just, they just tell this is his brother in arms. This is his like best friend who he loves deeply. And it's kind of like, and they were roommates energy.
Right. I was going to say, I think I always find the story of like Achilles and Patroclus moving, but it really does depend on like which version you get. And sometimes the writers and historians do exactly this. They're like, they were brothers, they were roommates. I think I talked about the movie Troy from like the early 2000s, and in that one they were cousins. The Sailor Moon treatment of like, no, they're so close because he was his nephew or cousin or something, and he was sad when he was dead. And it's just it's not consistent.
Which is even more proof like they were lovers. Come on now.
When the historians are like, we don't know.
You're right.
I think we know. I think we know. Let's not overcomplicate this. So this story focuses on the story of Achilles and Patroclus, which most people at least know Achilles from the Iliad.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the story of Troy, if you're unfamiliar with those, or the war on Troy. This time taking place from Patroclus's point of view. So let's just get started. Cole, could you give us a summary of Song of Achilles?
Sure. So this starts out with Patroclus giving us some backstory of him. He's born to a king who is from like this long line of kings, and there's so much expected of him, and turns out he doesn't really have any talents, nothing like really shining about him.
Stuff.
Yeah. And so he becomes a disappointment. to his father.
They told me I could be anything, and so I became a disappointment.
Right. Why not? But flash forward, he's with the kids of all these other rulers, and people are there, and they bully him because, he's not remarkable in any way.
Yeah.
And there's one who just keeps pushing at him, and then he literally pushes him.
Patroclus or the guy pushes
Patroclus pushes him because he's had enough, and he falls on a rock, dies.
Dang.
And that's where we start gaining momentum in the story. So to avoid a war, his dad is like, okay, I'm sending you away. He goes to Thea, and that just so happens to be where Achilles is because that's his father's domain.
So he first meets him in Thea in his father's kingdom.
Yes.
As Achilles, 100%. No disguises or anything.
And they Achilles kind of has this natural curiosity about him because he's this new person. But they don't really vibe at first. Yeah. They're not really feeling each other. But then it gets into them learning each other, getting to know each other, becoming really good friends to the point where Achilles decides he wants to, make him his brother in arms, I think is what they call it. But during all this, we find out the whole lore of Achilles and how his mother is a sea nymph. And she's painted out to be this really protective, standoffish being. But anyway, she sees how close they are getting. And I think she sees the potential of what this will become. So that's when she's like, okay, Achilles, I'm sending you off to train with Chiron in Mount Pelion. Yeah. Chiron, the epic hero,
trainer, centaur, basically daycare for Greek heroes.
Pretty much. So they go, and Patroclus is like, I'm going too. And Chiron is like, yeah, sure, whatever. But this is my favorite part of the story because this is when they are coming out of childhood into those late sort of teenage years when you start to experience hormones are racing, you experience your emotions, your desires, whether that be for love or lust. And it recounts how they sort of fall for each other in a way. And
you sort of gain a new sense of the world.
Yeah, their relationship drastically changes to something more. And that part of the story kind of ends with them finally taking the extra step.
They do the friendship tango.
Yeah, that one little dance. And but the way that it builds up to that is just the writing in this is what makes it great. Beautiful. In my opinion. Yeah, she is such an artist with her words.
I feel like Madeline Miller does a really good job of sort of continuing that history of poetry.
Yes.
In the wordplay that she uses. Okay, so these two become very close. They become no longer roommates.
Yeah,
and longer. Perhaps even lovers.
I would say so.
After they take this step together, what happens?
So that's when it's kind of interrupted. These people come and they're announcing, oh, you need to come back to Thea. So they go back. This is when it starts getting into the Iliad. So they hear about Helen of Troy being kidnapped.
Yeah.
And then Patroclus is reminded oh, I have this oath where I do have to protect them.
He's like, dang, I somehow I got signed into that.
Right.
I'm gonna have to go fight for this.
So he's like, how do I not do this? And it just so happens that
conveniently, Thetis also doesn't want Achilles to go. That's my guess. Yeah.
Yes. She's like, get my baby out of there. He's not going. He's not fulfilling any prophecies.
Absolutely. It's not my fault your wife got kidnapped.
Right. And she does take her monkey out of the circus and sends him to an island.
So this is where he's sequestered away, and she's like, pretend to be a girl because then you don't gotta fight.
This is when he goes and he's dressed as a maiden with all these girls, and but Patroclus is also kind of there in the background somewhere, I believe. I don't remember specifics, but this is when they kind of tell you about the prophecies that Troy is where Achilles will become famous and become this war hero, but it also he will also die.
Yeah.
Because he has this major weakness.
Yeah. Most people, what an Achilles heel is, which means he does not pick normal life. He's well remembered.
So while he's there is a girl that kind of blows his cover. She, not to everyone, but she finds out who he is. And as a hush type thing, they get secretly married and they have a child. So they eventually, story goes forward, they eventually go to Troy. Patroclus follows because, I mean, that's the love of his life.
Yeah, because this is what he does.
Why wouldn't he? So they join the Greeks, go to war, and there's a lot of like, I don't want to say filler because it's important, but there's a lot of things that happen here where it's like the retelling of like battles, things, how Patroclus feels about Achilles fighting, how Achilles feels about Patroclus fighting.
Yeah. Because this is actually, like you said, the meat of the Iliad. And
during all this, in conflict, you get to see the depth of their relationship. Like, it's more than just, I love this person. It's like, I am cosmically bound to this being. Like,
we're two parts of a whole.
Yeah.
You're the sun and I'm your shadow.
And then we get into where it starts going downhill.
Into the tragedy part.
Yeah. So Agamemnon's running things, and he offends the gods because there's a situation where like he takes the daughter of a priest and
he's always messing things up.
Doesn't want to return her. The gods send a plague, and Achilles is like, y'all, this is avoidable if we just return this girl. But Agamemnon, he's stubborn. He doesn't want to do it. So Achilles refuses to fight. And then they start losing battles because their hero is not in there. Yeah. And this is, during this though, is when Patroclus takes like a major win because he puts on Achilles' armor, goes out, kills a strong warrior, glory, fame, whatever that is. But shortly after that is when Hector comes in, takes out Patroclus, and then Achilles goes after him. And the petty king that he is, not only does he kill this man, but then he drags his body all around for the world to see and then keeps it because you're not getting a funeral.
I'm so sad because I love Hector as a character like so much, but like this, I don't know, to me this is like part of the regular like deep tragedy of it is like all of you are like, you shouldn't be here, right? But I'm getting into my own things. So where does he go after he drags Hector's body, denies him a funeral?
Yes. So he's keeping it, and then King Priam, he comes to Achilles and he asks for the body back. He's like, can we please just proper funeral? Yeah. Achilles eventually agrees, but then the war goes on. Achilles kills more and more people, but like it also shows like how plagued he is by Patroclus's death.
Because this is a question I have. Is the story usually told from Patroclus's point of view, but at this point Patroclus is dead. Yeah. So does it shift into Achilles' point of view?
No, it sort of takes on this form of Patroclus being, he's kind of watching.
Kind of like a spirit.
Yeah.
Okay. Able to observe, but not able to affect the outcomes of what happens. Okay.
And so, as we know, Achilles and his infamous heel hit, gone. And then this is when the child comes into place.
Oh, yes. Chekhov's baby.
Yeah. Achilles' son enters the war after Achilles dies. And his son is the reason they are not reunited.
In death.
So he is like, no, their ashes will not be alongside each other. It's not happening. And this is when it is the most gut-wrenching. Like, this is when the emotional wreckage begins.
Begins?
Well, okay, sorry. It's already begun.
Okay, I was like, what? Okay, but this is when the ball hits, for sure.
This is after the knife is in, and then this is the twist.
This is the twist.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, so y'all wanted a twist?
That's good.
This is it.
I didn't want this twist, though.
But it's funny because in this, Patroclus and Thetis they have conversations. And then she is the one who gets their ashes together. She gets them buried together so that they are able to have like
their afterlife.
Yeah, their happily ever after life.
Because I guess that's the good thing about Greek mythology is you could have a happily ever afterlife in theory.
I was already sobbing at this point. Like, I'm already done.
It sounds like not even a tearjerker. Right. Like, I don't know, but 2 degrees beyond that.
But then at the end, this is the last part, and I had to like screenshot it so I could say this to because like it's this is Thetis talking, and she says, "Go, he waits for you." And then the last line of this book says, "In the darkness, 2 shadows reaching through the hopeless heavy dusk. Their hands meet, and light spills in a flood like 100 golden urns pouring out of the sun. And this comes in after you are like, they're never going to be back together again.
I got literal goosebumps. That's what the quiet was. I was like, I have literal goosebumps. Ah! And that's where the book truly ends.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I had
Weeping.
to take 2 weeks to recover.
Sobbing, weeping. There are no tissues left in my house. I am dehydrated. I'm on the floor. I need
swimming
medical
through my
attention.
tears. Yes.
I knew that this was going to be really emotional because I've heard about this book before. But like literally every time that this book comes up, and when I get like a quote from it or something, and someone's like, "I'm going to read this thing," I am like awash.
It pulls on your heartstrings in a way that I didn't realize mine could be pulled.
Mm-hmm.
Any story that can wreck you emotionally, I'm like, sign me up. I'm here.
Mm-hmm. So I want to start by asking you, what about this story made you feel seen?
Okay. Why it's important to me is that there's so many stories out there that come from previous eras where there are so many queer stories in there, but they're not told because it's not the mainstream sort of view on relationships. So it gets like rewritten, or like what we were saying at the beginning, like the cousin treatment, the brother treatment, the roommate treatment. Exactly. They're not roommates, they're lovers. And like that, to me, that is just so important that we actually just give life to things like that.
To like this variety of relationships, which is also like, I say variety of relationships, but also I kind of feel like it's at the same time that it's expanding, it's also shrinking. Because it's like, yes, partner relationships look like so many things, but also like, did it look like they were in love? Then they were in love.
Right.
Like we're going to shrink don't overthink it. Right. We're reading almost too much into it. It's like they were in love clearly.
It's like if it quacks like a duck and it walks like a duck, girl, guess what? It's a duck.
It's a duck. Yeah.
So what made me feel seen is I consider myself a romantic, and the way that she illustrates their connection, like, it's just in most, not all queer media, but in a lot of queer media, like there is an emphasis on like just the physical, or there's some emotional connection. But I feel like when it comes to the story of two men specifically, you don't get into the deep waters of emotion. Not where, you're describing someone as having deep soul ties. And I think just the language that she uses really resonated with me, because that is how I think of connection. I mean, platonic or romantic, but like I think of connection in such a deep way. So this was like, oh, someone finally gets it. I think to that end, I remember something you said that stuck out to me was that this truly felt like one of those epic romances, like alongside the King Arthur and Lancelot and Lady Guinevere, like way up there. And it's given the same treatment and epic gravity as those, and finally like written out, not like you have to read between the lines for it. Like it is specifically said.
Right. And it's given that romantic weight to hold. And so, I think that this does, it definitely sounds like it really accomplishes that. But before we wrap up, and a lot of other stories out there, but I do want to ask, what do you think makes this then a tale of our time?
I mean,
is it what we just said also? Like, pretty much, we can have overlapping meaning.
It's everything. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, and get into this pudding. Like, it's just so...
It's a beautiful epic romance, and that's what makes this a tale of our time, right? Like, that's it. So then, since we're almost out of time, let me finally ask you, if you could give Song of Achilles a one-phrase subtitle of your very own, what would that be?
Emotional wreckage of the epic variety.
Well, Cole, thank you so much for coming on the show today and for reintroducing me to this like beautiful story. I have really enjoyed listening to it. I hope it comes across on the audio. So thank you.
Thanks again. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And to all of you listeners out there, thank you for tuning in. This has been Tales of Our Time on Radio Taiwan International, and you are joining us during our Pride Month special, where we focus on what makes you feel seen. Today, I was talking with my guest, Cole Jones, and we were discussing the story Song of Achilles, Emotional Damage of the Epic Variety. a tale of our time. We'll see you next time.